Shalom Aleichem, Erev Tov. It's a very auspicious, the culmination of a very auspicious day in the calendar. Chof Ches Koyach Nisan, the 28th of the Hebrew month of Nisan, in which we know the Rebbe delivered the famous Sikha, the famous public addressal in regard to the fact that Moshiach is already something that is given to us in our hands. The Rebbe says is giving it to our hands in order to go and to carry out and fulfill the mission of bringing Moshiach in actuality. About this, we'll tell a concept in the beginning of the Dvar Malchus Shir, but right now, where's everyone going and coming back? Disappearing and coming back. It's strange what's going on, but right now, we'll begin with the first story in regard to the Baal Shem Tov HaKodesh, and another small story, something more in our times, in time and age. But first, with the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov story is connected with the portion that we're reading this week, the theParush of Kadeshim. Hashem commands us to be holy because He is holy. Kadeshim tiyu ki kodesh ani. And this seems to raise many questions, but one of the specific ideas we'll hear in the following story. In the times of the Baal Shem Tov, okay, where is everyone else? I don't know, but whatever, they'll arrive. Bezrat Hashem, they'll arrive. In the times of the Baal Shem Tov had he administered an instruction that is given over to us, and this is that we should ask in the well-being. We should ask in the well-being of our fellow Jew and ask them how things are going, and this is for the purpose of our fellow Jew going and replying the answer, Baruch Hashem, everything is well. In other words, Baruch Hashem, if it's well or otherwise, we first and foremost, we go and we give our admiration and we acknowledge the master, the fact that Hashem is the master of the universe. And this is what the Baal Shem Tov had his custom to go from town to town, from shtetl to shtetl, and to simply knock on people's doors and ask them, how are you? How are the children? How's the Parnosoh going? How's the health? And they would say, Baruch Hashem, Adank the Eibishter, thank the one above, and so on. It's told about once when the Baal Shem Tov arrived in in a larger town, and he went to the Beis HaMedrash. He went to the study hall, and in the study hall, there was it was in between services. There was an elderly gentleman that was sitting in the corner, and he was studying. Now, the Baal Shem Tov walks in, and he didn't look like a respectable and honorable great Talmid Chacham. He came with his clothes that were already a little dirty from the journey, and not in the best of appearance. And like a Chabadnik, right? the hat is it could be turned this way, turned that way, whatever. And the Baal Shem Tov, he went straight up. The only person in the study hall was this elderly gentleman sitting and studying. And in those days, there was a concept of a Parush. A Parush is a person that is secluded or separated, actually, from the material and the mundane world. To make the differentiation, like the monks that are living that they go up high in the Tibetan mountains, and this individual, he's just sitting, he's barely eating anything, barely drinking anything, and that's why they were called Parushim. Parush is, like we said before, a person that is segregated from the material mundane world. Baal Shem Tov walked up to him, and he looked at him and he said, "How are you?" And this individual doesn't even raise his eyes up from his sefer, from his book. He just continues continues to study and totally ignores the Baal Shem Tov. Then the Baal Shem Tov, he thought maybe this person didn't hear, so he asks again, in a little louder voice. He asks, "Vos machtayid? How are you? How is a Jew?" And this time, the elderly man, he's already getting a little upset because the Baal Shem Tov isn't allowing him to sit and to continue his study. So the elderly man looks up at him, and he sees who's addressing him, and he lowers his eyes back into the book and he continues to study. At this, the Baal Shem Tov, and he continues to study because he really isn't interested in going and designating any of his holy, sacred time that he can sit and study for this simpleton that just walked into the study hall, and he has the audacity to go and to ask him, "How are you?" Like, who are you? who are you to ask me? At this, the Baal Shem Tov takes a good stare, takes a good stare at this elderly gentleman, and he says, "I don't understand. How do you allow yourself to ligzel, to steal the Parnosoh, to steal the livelihood of the Holy One, blessed be He?" Oh, when this elderly gentleman was accused of stealing the Parnosoh of the Eibishter, Hashem's livelihood. So first of all, he was very upset and angered because he's being accused. He's the holy man sitting and studying all day, and he's stealing the Parnosoh of the Eibishter. And the second thing is, what really bothered him is, what in the world are you talking about? I'm stealing. How can I be stealing the livelihood of the Eibishter? Who can steal Hashem's livelihood? And besides the fact that I'm sitting and studying. So he looks up and he says, "Excuse me, but what do you mean by that?" He finally was awakened from his euphoria of Torah study. So the Baal Shem Tov explained very eloquently and very, very nicely. He says that David HaMelech, and we say it in davening every day, David HaMelech says the following. There's a verse in Tehillim and Psalms that says, "Ve'ata kodesh," and you are holy, Yeshev Tiles Yisrael, who sits upon the praises of the Jewish nation. And he looks at him, he says, "How do you understand this verse?" He scratches his head and he says, "What do you want from me? What do you, just speak up, say what you want to say." And then he gave him the explanation. He says that the Parnosoh, David HaMelech is saying that the livelihood of Hashem, Yoshev Tilos, when a person is sitting, right, Hashem is sitting upon the praises of the Jewish nation, this means that this is his livelihood. This is his sustenance. He's sitting upon what? And how is Hashem's holiness expressed? Ve'ata kodesh, and you are holy. Tilos Yisrael, the praise of the Jewish nation. And so when I come, and when any Jew comes and asks another Jew, "How are you?" So the first thing is we give the Parnosoh, we give the livelihood to the Holy One, blessed be He. We say Baruch Hashem. The Parush saw who he was dealing with, and he apologized, he excused himself. And that was the story with the Baal Shem Tov. But this is exactly what we're talking about. This is the concept of acknowledging the greatness, acknowledging the reverence that we have for Hashem, and not only acknowledging it, but this kavyochol per se is actually giving the sustenance for Hashem's livelihood, for Hashem's Parnosoh. The next story we said a short story. I heard it. I had the opportunity of being this past Shabbos in Kfar Chabad, and there was obviously, since it's Shabbos Mevorachim, so there was a Farbrengen. Sat in the Farbrengen, and the Hasidic musician and singer Reb Avi Piamenta he spoke, And he told a story about, ages ago when he was still in the United States. So they gave, he used to, he used to play, he had a band together with his brother, Yossi Alav Shalom, Yibodo Menachem. And they came back from a concert that they played somewhere in some, I don't know, Chabad house, a Jewish center. And he says it was like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, between 3 and 4. It's like one of those hours that usually the highways are empty and they're driving, and they come to a toll booth. Today, I was told that you really don't have that many, or if any, you don't have toll booths anymore. It used to be like, places that people drive through. Before you drive through, you have to put in some money in order to go and to use the road. That was your dues to pay for the use of the road. So they come to this toll booth, no one around. There was this one person standing there in his budke, in his little cubicle. And Avi, he takes a few quarters to pay for the toll. And as he's about to throw the quarters into the basket of the toll booth, so Avi looks up, and he takes a good look at the person standing in the cubicle, the whatever he's called, in the guard, and something brought Avi to go and to ask the person, excuse me, in his Hebrew accent in English, excuse me, are you Jewish? 3 or 4 in the morning, everyone's like half asleep. What is he asking? So he says, what did you say? So he says, no, I wanted to know if you're Jewish. So the person says, excuse me, sir, I'm not Jewish, but my mother was Jewish. Avi breaks out with an enormous amount of joy and happiness, opens the door, gets out of the car, puts his hand on the guard's shoulder and starts singing and dancing. The guard really didn't know what he's doing. So he says, if your mother is Jewish, so you are also Jewish. And they started to dance and to sing, to clap. And this is again, incredible stories. This is again, this is again expressing the fact that it's not only the idea that we have to go and we have to arouse the concept of giving Parnosoh to Hashem by asking, how are you? And the person says, Baruch Hashem. There are some people that they don't even know about their holiness. They don't even know about their Jewishness, the Judaism. It could be that they're doing the exact opposite, Rahman Litzlan, of Judaism, like on university campuses that you can see today in the United States. And we have Jews, at least they label themselves Jews, and they're going against Am Yisrael, they're going against the Jewish nation, they're going against Israel. They're campaigning for the other side, for the enemy. These are the Jews that we are talking about. Ve'ata kodesh, and you are holy. Yeshev tiles Yisrael. You sit upon the praises of the Jewish nation. These are the people that we have to ask. How are you? Are you Jewish? Did you put tefillin on today? Do you light Shabbos candles? And it is through this concept of going and addressing our fellow Jew that we arouse the chelek elikam imal mamish, the true part of Hashem that is within each and every Jew. This is the way it's uncovered. It's brought to its revealed basis, and through this, finally, Be'ezras Hashem will bring these golos of the Rebbe Shlita Melech Ha'Moshiach in the third and the Beis Hamikdash Hashlishi v'Hanitzchi, with the third and the eternal Beis Hamikdash, with the Geula Shlema V'Amitis, with the true and the complete redemption, and should be Teichef Umiyad Mamish Mamish Mamish. Yechi Adonenu Moreinu V'Rabbeinu Amelech Ha'Moshiach Chai V'Kayim Le'olam V'Oed. Amen.